Hello, you darling people, and welcome to another Whiskey Review with me, the Whiskey Novice. It is review number 243. Thank you very, very much for joining me. And it is the turn of another 12-year-old Scotch single malt. And it is the turn of another Glenmorangie. I've reviewed one already in this series. It is the Glenmorangie original 12-year-old, yes. Literally. Now, on date of recording this, so I'll tell you the date that I've recorded this review, the 1st of August 2024. I'm going to say about 3 weeks to a month ago, Glenmorangie released the 12-year-old original. They have basically said that the 10-year-old original, the original, we know the one we're talking about, has had its day. And they're bringing it out as a 12-year-old expression going forward. Now, Dr. Bill Lumsden. So, Glenmorangie there. Highland Distillery up around Inverness, just north of Inverness there. Under the ownership of LVMH, Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy. So, Dr. Bill Lumsden, their sort of head blender, along with like Ardbeg. So, Dr. Bill has said that at 12 years that this is smoother, creamier, and even more complex. So there you go. Well, Dr. Bill, I think you'll find that we'll be the judge of that. No, don't get me wrong. I have a lot of time for... I actually think Bill Lumsden is a superstar. I really do, because I've said it many times before that Glenmorangie are my... and I don't like saying it, guilty pleasure distillery. And the reason, and I'll repeat myself on that one, the reason I don't like saying it is because the only reason I do say guilty pleasure is because I think an awful lot of us look at Glenmorangie as beginner's whiskey. Once you've hit Glenmorangie, you've done it, move on. There's much better whiskey out there. Well, let me tell you, I still have an awful lot of time for Glenmorangie. And the original 10-year-old, I said recently, was a daily sipper for me in a live stream. So it's not a daily sipper. I don't drink it every day, but it'd be that style, that easy going, clean. It's Glenmorangie, the original 10-year-old, was one of those whiskies for me. So to replace it with the 12-year-old, it seems a bit weird. They're not the first to do it. Aberlour did it with the 10, whenever the 10 got taken off the market, replaced by the 12. And I still say that I preferred the 10 to the 12-year-old. I still have a bottle of the 10-year-old tucked away. Here in Ireland, Dumbles did it for a while. The 10-year-old PX went off the market to be replaced by the 12-year-old. They now have the 10 and the 12 running tandem. So they're not, I mean, other ones, I'm sure other ones have done it. But this is Glenmorangie. This I did find surprising, though. I did find it shocking / surprising whenever this news was announced that Glenmorangie were taking the 10-year-old off the market and replacing it with the 12-year-old. I have my own theories as to why they've done so. And why not fire them across your bow right now before we go any further. So here's my theory. Perhaps they want it to be smoother, creamier, and more complex. There you go. Yeah, well done, Bill. No, I get the impression that perhaps barrels and casks have maybe come into play a little here. That perhaps, only perhaps, the quality of some ex-bourbon, remember this is all ex-bourbon cask, were maybe not to as high standard. So anyway, here's where I'm leading to. They were maybe having to put an awful lot more 12-year-old malt into the 10-year-old, into that original, to acquire, to get the flavour profile that they've been trying to maintain. And at that point, to me, it would only make sense then to go, look, if we're having to fire that much 12-year-old in, let's just make a decision here. We can't continue to charge the 10-year-old price when we're putting that amount of 12-year-old and older malt into that marriage, we'll say. We'll not call it blend, into that marriage. That's my opinion, and it's a theory, and maybe I'm wrong, but it sounds a bit, to me, it could be the thing. It could be a thing that a lot of that to do was to say that they've started to add so much older product into the younger product with still a 10-year-old age statement on it that they've decided to just go with a 12-year-old instead. Okay, that's it done. Let's get in. Is it, as Dr. Bill said, creamier, smooth? Well, no, what was it? Smoother, creamier, and more complex. Well, let's see. So like it's younger, so 40% chill filtered. They say natural colour, as in, they don't say it on here, but Glenmorangie generally state that it's natural colour, and I'm going to believe that. Like its predecessor, clean, crisp, honey and citrus rind. I can guarantee you I'd probably not say an awful lot that I didn't say in the 10-year-old review, and I've reviewed it twice. Barley sugar. Yeah, it doesn't break that Glenmorangie original mould, really. And at that point then, and it's not something I've done before, but here we go. There's only one way to really, really test this, and that's to compare it, in my opinion. So, the 10-year-old, there she blows. So that's, as a matter of fact, I'll go that way around with it. So that's the 10-year-old original and the 12-year-old original. Now, the first thing you will notice is that the 10-year-old original is lighter in colour. Naturally, you would say. This is 2 years older and older stock, I have no doubt. So the 10-year-old is lighter in colour than the 12-year-old. So, 12-year-old. Yes, round, sweet, honeysuckle, sugar, barley sugar, sorry. The 10-year-old, I would suggest, is slightly sharper on the nose. The 12-year-old's definitely rounder. And once again, it's that sort of, I keep saying it an awful lot recently, I've had a stone fruit, peach, nectarine, and once again, even hints of pear and apple. And it's more round on the 12-year-old Glenmorangie. Yeah, definitely, than it is on the 10. The 10's a little more muted. Now, remembering that this 10-year-old is the one that I fell in love with for my daily sipper whiskey. So, really what we're trying to ascertain here is, has the 12-year-old stepped it up? Because the 10-year-old you could pick up for 30 to 35. The 12-year-old's currently looking around the £40 mark. Yeah, definitely the 12-year-old is more round and fruity. I don't think we're going to find an awful lot of difference here, but that's the main thing kicking off in the nose, is that the 12-year-old, I would suggest, is definitely rounder. So into that palate, and I'm going to go with the 12-year-old, remembering that it's the one, well, I was going to say being judged, but that sounds, it's the one in the spotlight here. Typical Glenmorangie, soft, sweet, sour. All those stone fruits are there again. Yeah. Yeah, 12-year-old. Lovely for what it is. So there. I've had a couple of sips of the 12-year-old. Let's go back into the 10 and see if it matches it. See if it stands up to that. No. Actually, no, it doesn't. You can see the fill levels in both of these bottles is almost identical. I've had the 10-year-old poured as long as I've had the 12-year-old poured. I'm not going to say smoother. You'll not find me saying the word smoother regarding whiskey. Certainly not where people expect the term smoother to be used. To be honest with you, creamier is actually a term that I would have used rather than smooth. That's creamy. But I don't even think it's creamier. Is it richer? Is it more complex? I would actually say it is, yes. 10-year-old is a bit sharper, it's a bit brighter, but I think I prefer it. A little bit rounder. It's fine margins. This is obviously 100% in Glenmorangie and LVMH's benefit. It's not for us. We are not going to benefit out of this, in my opinion. Is it slightly bolder? Is it slightly rounder? Is there slightly more flavour going on there? Is the finish a wee bit more? Maybe. But it's very, very fine margins. This would not have affected us. We'd have been happy enough, those of us who like the 10-year-old as that daily sipper, as that simple but affordable single malt with an age statement on it. The 10-year-old was fine for me, thanks all the same. Did we need a 12-year-old version? No, we didn't. But we've got it, whether we like it or not. Is it? Yeah, it's slightly more complex, but very, very slightly. And the truth of it is that, as I said, this is what we're stuck with now. This is what we've got, the 12-year-old. In a year, well, basically as soon as the 10-year-old is gone and we don't see it in the shelves anymore, the 12-year-old will be all we know, and we'll have forgotten about the 10-year-old. Would it make me want to buy a 10 or a couple of 10-year-olds and hold them back now? Because remembering I said at the start or earlier on in this review, the Aberlour 10 to 12, I prefer the 10-year-old to the 12-year-old, and that was the very reason that I bought a 10-year-old to hold back, was because I preferred that whiskey. In this case, they're not different enough, I'm convinced, to notice the difference, really. I would say if you ordered this at a bar, this 12-year-old at a bar, would you be sitting there sipping it with a vague memory of the 10-year-old going, oh, this is much more superior? I would be highly surprised. I would be highly surprised. So there you go. Not really. I mean, that's pretty much as I can judge that. That's as good as I can do with that. The 12 we're sort of lumped with now. I hadn't intended in reviewing this as part of this series, but I would have reviewed it at some point. So it's a 12-year-old single malt, 12-year-old Scottish single malt, falls in here. So I may as well, I thought I'll fire it in there now. So let's leave that and move on. You'll notice I didn't add water there in that, because I've done it before with the Glenmorangie. I've tried it in the past, and it doesn't do anything for it. It just makes it thin and a bit wishy-washy. I still like this as a basic malt. My concern slightly is then, as the price starts to creep that wee bit, that less people will experience Glenmorangie 10-year-old, 12-year-old as it is now. So, where if I'd have seen the 10-year-old at around the 30 to 35 pounds mark, I'm going, yeah, it's an age-stated single malt. I'll buy that. Whenever you reach the 40 pounds mark, it starts to get to the point where I would almost expect a little more. Anyway, yeah, it's all right. So what am I going to suggest as an alternative? Well, on this occasion, it's sweet, it's fruity, it's nice, it's a bit, it's still good nose, etc., etc. I decided to offer up for you one of my favourite distilleries, a Speyside Linkwood. I have a lot of time for Linkwood. This, not the best expression. This, the Flora and Fauna one direct from Diageo. I have quite a few indies, but I thought, what's the point really? Because indie bottlings of these come and go. At least the Flora and Fauna. If Glenmorangie, 12-year-old as it is now, is your thing, then I would maybe look toward the Linkwood 12-year-old. So there you go. This one bottled at 43%. But it's still a good one. It's still a good one, the Linkwood. But there are better indie bottlings out there. So there you go. That ran on a bit longer than I expected to, but I was trying to give the 10-year-old to 12-year-old a bit of a bash and trying to get as much out of it as I could. There you are, my friends. Thank you very much for joining me. As always, thank you very much to my patrons. Always very much appreciate it. Should anybody wish to join that group, the details are in the video description below. Till the next time, look after yourselves. Here's to your good health. Cheers.
Hey, thanks for watching my video. Please click and subscribe to be notified of further content.